Life Audio.
Today on Talk About That, John critiques the Big Mac and tries to be productive, but only if he can track it on his phone. Meanwhile, I have a decade-old video go viral and do a Maypole dance against my mom's wishes. Plus a conversation about dopamine addiction and the urge to oversimplify problems that need more nuance. Today's episode is not sponsored by Mediocre, the vegetable that tastes like beef, from the makers of Tofurkey. Mediocre, it's just okay. But first, a word from our actual sponsor.
Hey, it's the Bantertown crew inviting you to talk about that. I'm John here with Jonnie. There was a take right before this.
John started the show. I think you never know what you're going to say.
No, I don't.
And then you just said something like, yo. What did you say?
I don't know, like, what's up, America?
What's up, America? I said, you know what?
And then literally the computer stopped itself.
The computer stopped itself. You go, it freaked out. I go, it knew that can't ever see the light of day.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't. No
one ever wants to hear, yo, what's up, America?
I'm not ashamed of who I am, Johnny.
And I'd appreciate your vote in November.
I stay. Somebody sent us a text today from the volleyball world.
Yeah.
And Laura was offering to help them with like project management systems.
Yeah.
She was like, creating systems and project management is like my favorite thing to do, smiley face. And I was like, I am John Driver, and I support this message about Laura's creativity of systems being exceptional.
Yeah.
And my hashtag was marriage political statements. So,
yeah.
because, you know, I could be indicating I don't like being all this managed like this,
right.
But I needed to support her. So I think I threaded the needle, Johnny. I think I have a future in marriage politics.
Yeah. Well, it's similar. There's similar worlds. You lobby in marriage for things you want, you know?
Yeah.
You say, what do you think about
a new house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cancun, whatever.
Fewer Amazon purchases, anything really.
I don't think that's ever going to happen ever again. I think that ship has sailed, literally. And it's got Amazon packages on it.
It does. You know, what's interesting, and I agree with her, because, like, okay, they had a birthday party for someone the other day on the team. I kid you not, I think 20 different dresses arrived.
This is
from Amazon.
Volleyball team people.
Yeah.
20 different dresses arrived for Sadie to choose from?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But that's how we do it now. Instead of going to the store.
You're right.
And spending 4 hours, she keeps one and sends the rest back. Yeah, and that's how we shop now. And if you're shopping for me that way, I'm down.
Right.
But the problem is are we already in motion about the next thing? Like, do you ever get out of the cycle where all the things are back except the one thing you kept? Or are you always in a cycle bringing the next round for the next event? Because there's always something when you have a 16-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Almost 17.
Well, man, you have my respect. I don't know. I just, man.
But she's right. It is cheaper, and it all goes back.
Mm-hmm. I
mean, and it's way better than going to, I almost said Profits. Remember that old store in Knoxville? Profits.
Wow, you're old.
Wow, that
Miller's.
I don't remember Miller's.
Hills. I remember Hills Shopping Center.
Yeah.
Hills was like a department store in Knoxville.
Yeah.
Shout out to my Knoxville friends. They'll remember Hills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Knoxville.
It is weird when you grow up and you think of chains that are in your local area and you assume that everybody has those places.
They don't.
And then when you start getting a little bit more worldly wise, John, you realize, everybody doesn't have Petros.
Right.
Which
is amazing.
Yeah.
If you don't know what a Petro is.
It was invented for the World's Fair in 1982.
Right. It's made of oil.
It's made. That's petrol, John.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's. I think some people call it a Frito or a walking taco now.
Frito Bandito.
Frito Bandito.
Mm-hmm.
It's your Fritos, and then you put your sour cream and your tomatoes and your cheese and your sometimes chili or salsa.
Yeah.
And they call it a Petros. And I thought it swept the nation. It had only swept Knoxville.
Oh, my wife. It's like a childhood thing. If we go back now for a game, there's a good chance we stop for a Petro because they had standalone stores there.
Right.
For Petros. And you can get pasta in the bottom. And they served them instead of Fritos.
Right.
And they served them at Neyland Stadium.
Yeah, that's true.
For a long time.
Now they serve alcohol at Neyland Stadium.
There's no telling.
Did that just start? Like, that was 3 years ago, I think?
It's been a minute. But
yeah.
Could you imagine how much money they're making?
Yeah.
Johnny, if we could just have 5 cents off of every...
Do they do the thing of stop serving after a certain time in the game to let people sober up for their drive home?
Maybe.
Because otherwise they're complicit in all the angry Vol fans.
Could you imagine
hitting the road?
Working that booth and having to check all the IDs, since half the stadium's, college students who are underage.
Yeah, with fake IDs.
I think technically UT is a dry campus.
Is it really?
But I think there's a liquor store on the Strip now, so I'm not sure how they.
Somebody told me that when you're, we're getting in the weeds of like Prohibition era politics, but when you have dry counties and wet counties or whatever, I heard that Knoxville was a moist city, and I thought that was so funny.
They have a name.
Because we're partially
interesting.
Like there's certain, like I remember one time Curry, I can't remember what it was, but we went to get something like wine for a party or something. We were bringing a bottle of wine to in Mount Juliet, and it was Easter Sunday, and they go, we don't sell alcohol, and it was only on Easter Sunday. It was a special
only on Easter
Sunday. Like I was like, what an interesting resolution they got passed. Sometime they were like, this will be our thing.
This is how we.
Yeah, whatever.
The whole you can't legislate morality thing is so true, because there's going to be some legislation.
Yeah.
By its definition means you're making a law, right? And so if you make a law around what you do, eventually there's a way to get around that, which proves.
Well, and it's a very, it's a very Protestant thinking too, because people take communion the most probably on Easter with wine.
Yeah.
And that's the one day we're like, no, we're trying to be holy over here. No wine on Easter.
Well, I think we've talked about the whole, I grew up in my grandfather's generation truly believed that wine was, or alcohol was sinful. Mm-hmm. And that Jesus drank non-alcoholic wine, was just drinking grape juice. I can remember my great uncle, who was an amazing guy, but he would preach on Sunday nights, and he was so knowledgeable. But this was a thing, and I think we talked about it before. I found it on a documentary. It came out of long downstream of the Second Great Awakening. There was this movement of temperance, right, that led eventually to Prohibition. But late 1800s, some person in I can't remember if it was an article or a theological journal wrote about that the original Greek or the original language was talking about it being non-alcoholic wine. And so my great uncle would preach, Jesus drank the unfermented fruit of the vine.
Right,
that's what he would say.
Unfermented fruit of the vine.
Yeah.
I've heard that before too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I don't know. I'm a moderation guy, so I'm not sauced like you are. John is an example of what his grandfather was talking about.
Yeah, my great-uncle
once John had a
today,
taste, he was like, once it hit my lips, and John has gone insane.
You wouldn't believe it.
This is an intervention, honestly.
It's 10:30 in the morning, and I'm all ready. I showed up.
Yeah. That's what's in this triangle over here. It's just a flask. John's got his pyramid. Have we talked about your pyramid on the show?
I don't know.
John has a little timer pyramid
If you're
thing,
watching online, I'm picking it up.
and it's a little orb that has little to-do lists on it, and when he spends time on each element, he turns the die, the 18-sided die or whatever it is, towards that, and this computer thing logs it, right? An app logs that you're like, I'm going to write this much. I'm going to write a chapter. I'm going to work on piano skills today. I think it's good. It's a little productivity.
Yeah, and you can track what you've done. It's called Timular.
And it's got a crystal that you have to replace every day, right? Because the crystal power comes out. No, it's not.
No.
It feels very new agey, the look of it.
I like that though. It's very futuristic looking to me. So, and I'm not sure.
Although, can you imagine like people imagining a future like, I hope one day in the future
I can track
people
my
will
time.
People will be so insanely obsessed with productivity that they'll have to have little timers in there.
Can I tell you what though? It's not about the obsession with the productivity.
Okay.
You know what it's really about?
No.
It's about getting away from the distraction of the phone.
Sure. Okay,
If I do this, I'm not going to sit here and just watch. I don't care for social media. I've made no secret about that.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
But I as easily as anyone
you
can just get caught watching
dopamine. It's dopamine.
Mindless reels.
It's a drug.
And you look up, it's been 30, 45 minutes. You're like, what did I do? Nothing.
It's our cigarette is what it is.
Yep.
Honestly.
Well, when I'm smoking a cigarette and doing it, I feel extra
double hit.
Yeah, and then having some fermented fruit of the vine.
So one of my favorite comedians right now is a guy named Derek Stroop, And he opens for Nate on the road. He opens for John Christ for the last 4 or 5 years, but he's rising now himself. Like, he's starting to do his own theaters and his own headlining shows.
Yeah.
And he is a crusher. He's what I would call like a monster.
Yeah.
Like, don't follow Derek kind of a guy.
Yeah.
He's so big. His personality is
And
so
also
big.
his comedy is good.
But he's just got this big personality, and he's got a bit right now. I literally took Scott Gillis the other night, our neighbor and friend of the show. I said, you want to go with me to the show with the Ryman? It was because Derek was on this showcase. It was a big showcase for Nate Land.
Yeah.
But it was just all of his clean comics. And so, because Derek was going to do 10 minutes or 20 minutes, I go, you got to go see this with me. So we went to the Ryman just to see Derek, basically. And it was because I was hoping he would do this one bit, and it's about cigarettes. He was like, he goes, cigarettes are gone, and it's fine, and I'm glad for our health. He goes, but we smoked them at the wrong time. We need cigarettes now. When we were smoking cigarettes, he goes, brick homes were $60,000. The news was digestible. And he gives all these examples. And he was like, now, he goes, the world's on fire and we don't have cigarettes. And he talks about, like, he goes, everyone has had, I'm going to butcher it, but he goes, everyone has had Thanksgiving saved by a cigarette because your aunt went out and smoked instead of saying what she wanted to. She was outside on that porch making a business decision like that. It's just so funny, the idea of, like, cigarettes, like, saving our childhood in a way, because your dad would sit out there and he would watch one bird, go from one power line to the other. Then he'd be like, all right, I'm going to go inside and I'm going to hug him. That's what Derek says. He wouldn't go straight in from work. He would stand outside. He would smoke one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just such a funny idea that, like, but like I said, now it's dopamine. Dopamine is our new little addiction that we all kind of contend with. We know it's rotting us in a way. Mm-hmm. It's taking a little bit of a piece of us.
Oh, but people freak out. Listen, people freak out if you talk about changing the habits of the phone.
Yeah.
Like, people, they're very defensive. And part of it is just oppositionality. No one wants, this is mine. You don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm not telling you to do. I'm saying, this is killing us. Like, the Surgeon General wants to put a warning on this.
A warning on the social media.
And we're doing it anyway.
A black box warning on Facebook.
I'm not saying information's bad.
Yeah.
But too much information, Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's funny about cigarettes? The association of smell for me, do you know where the strongest association
I used to be on the board for the Association of Smell.
Were you really?
Yeah.
That's
I thought you were talking about like a literal association. At first I was like, what? The Association of Smell just released a report. They said...
Anyway, what I associate the smell with?
Yeah.
Funerals.
Okay.
Like, I can't tell you to this day how many people in mourning, and I don't know how many that had actually quit smoking before, but you walk into, and I'm gonna go to a lot of funerals, obviously, with my job, and there's just people smoking outside
That's
that
their
door,
time
man.
to kind of, I need a cigarette right now.
It's like walking through a gauntlet of smoke. Like, it's an amazing, that, and you know what else? Flowers make me think of funerals. My mom and I are the same.
Sure, for sure.
We don't like the smell of flowers.
Right, because it reminds you of death.
It just reminds me of death, yeah. It's a childhood thing, because I went to funerals as a kid, because my dad was a pastor, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's the dopamine is our thing, and I don't know. But having said all that, we're so glad for our viewers, and you're not the problem. You guys aren't the problem.
Don't come at other people.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And, just because we want to keep having a great show like this, we need to hear a word now from some of our fine sponsors.
Yeah. Everything we talk about in this show is obviously not about our listeners, because they get it. You know what I'm saying?
We give you like an exemption.
Yeah.
Like if you win the Masters ever, you have a lifetime exemption.
Yeah.
You can play the Masters forever.
Forever.
Even if you're 70. Mm-hmm. Gary Player would just like tee off. You're like, well, he won in, 1982. And you're like, he can barely hit the ball. Like, no.
Doesn't
lifetime.
matter.
You guys have a lifetime exemption.
Yeah. It's like you wear a green jacket for us. Emotionally.
And you're outside smoking in that green. It's a smoking jacket, honestly.
And listen, if we're going to write to the Association of Smell and a strongly worded letter about it to preserve your exemption, because we're sick of hearing about it. Sick about it. Johnny, about that time, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's my segment. It's a little quote of the week that we call. They talked about that.
Beautiful.
Flawless. H.L. Mencken.
Mencken?
Minkin, I mean, sorry. I misread.
Minchkin?
It is Minkin. You're right.
Was he in Wizard of Oz? Go ahead.
It's just interesting to me because you're going to like this one, I think. So
Okay.
he was obviously a journalist and an essayist. Obviously, everyone knows that. Born 1880.
Oh, yeah. He saw some stuff.
Died 1956, yeah. So he went through both world wars. He said this: for every complex problem, there is an answer that is clear, simple, and wrong. For every complex problem, there's an answer that is clear, simple, and wrong. Man, this speaks to me because I feel like there is a rhetoric afloat that's both political, theological, social, kind of that like everyone's just overcomplicating things and it should all be simpler.
Right.
And that we can just blanket these big complex things with just clear solutions and simple, strong leadership and all those things. And I think this is how I feel. Of course, as an Enneagram 6, of course, I feel this way. Everything feels complicated, right? In my head, there's a committee talking about all the things that could be. But when I hear just a clear, simple answer to a complex problem, it's rarely for me that I find it to be right.
No,
Like,
it feels condescending.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing that. You see it in the political spectrum a lot now. It's very in fashion now to be like, well, I know this seems like a complicated issue with lots of nuance, but actually, if you'll just listen to me, all we need to do is, and then insert weird, like broad sweeping thing, and you go, yeah, but I'm an expert on this.
Right.
Somebody can raise their hand. I'm an expert. I've been studying this for 20 years. You're wrong.
Yeah.
That's not true.
What was the book? The Death of Expertise?
Yeah, The Death of Expertise.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great follow. What is his name? I'm going to get it wrong. We'll add it.
Minchkin. I'm sorry.
It is Minchkin.
Did I mention the book called
Oh,
anyway?
boy.
Yeah,
Don't mention it.
Yeah. No, I think it's we derile experts now out of suspicion. And I think that's happening in theology as well. I think there's like I can figure this out, right? I can get this. And there's a lot of hubris to it. And I can confess that as a problem in my own life, especially as a younger man. We talked about finding recent old tapes from sermons back when I was a teenager, early 20s. And the older I got, I've become, the more I long for an expert to lead me.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'd have to discard all of my experiences or my thoughts on it, just that I long to know where those have gone ahead of me. And
like if somebody has done the work, like, and you can benefit from that work, why in the world would you not? I don't know. I think maybe we were a part of that movement, though, that kind of tried its hardest to demystify God. Like, we were a part of that movement that said, don't get dressed up when you come to church because God doesn't care. Don't. Right. And some of those were really well-meaning things and good things, and I think there's good things from it. But maybe that led to this idea that, like, theology is something that is simple. I think theology is something that, I think trusting God is something that is simple but not easy. But I do think, like, theology as a whole, like, it's such a mystery. And now, back to your point about the information age that we live in.
Yeah. We
want to be able to just Google quick answers for everything.
Right.
And theology and politics just aren't that way.
No.
There's always many, many sides.
There are. And even if it's a simple principle, Jesus, if you want to use the words, boiled down all the law and the prophets into 2 commandments. And then you could say boiled down those 2 into 1 for his disciples. So it's love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind and strength, and then love your neighbor as yourself. And then he tells his disciples, look, love one another as I have loved you. And so it goes even more, not even as yourself anymore.
Yeah.
Love each other as I love you, which is crazy because we've said it before, but I don't love myself a lot of the time, so no wonder I don't love my neighbor very well. But if I have to love my neighbor the way that Christ loves me,
right.
That's a whole other commandment.
Sure.
But that being said, I tell the church this all the time. We could get into the weeds. I like apologetics, and I like, deep questions and all the things and the mystery of it. But the simple things, if you want to call them that, love God with all your heart, love your neighbors yourself, and as Christ loves you, those things, though they're simply stated and they're simple principles and they sum it up, if you really commit to them in your heart, devote yourself to those ways of God, it will take everything that you have for the rest of your life, and you'll be becoming formed into a disciple as you go.
Yeah.
So like if you wake up today and don't worry about which version of the Bible is the one that's most inspired, or like you can get into all these. I'm not saying that things don't matter.
Yeah.
But the essentials, if Jesus brought these down to the essentials, if you really lived the essentials,
Yeah.
I forget. I think it was. Oh man,
It's you're thinking of Soren
Soren Kierkegaard, which says if I did exactly what it said, I'd think, my God,
my life will be ruined.
Yeah, my life will
Soren
be ruined.
Kierkegaard said that the goal of Christian scholarship is to protect us from the Bible.
Yes.
So we dig down into the weeds of it because the broader principles are so invasive.
Yeah.
That we go, well, but let's see what the Greek original meaning, like we try to get away from love your neighbor.
Right.
Well, what he means is when he says a rich man, it's easier for a camel to get into an eye than a needle. What he means is you're trying to justify your riches. So you get into the weeds of it instead of being like, does God want me to give more money away? Like you don't want to ask yourself that question. So you try to justify.
Yeah.
And so his basic point was the goal of Christian scholarship is to protect us from the Bible.
I think what he calls us, I'd have to look it up, is because we are a bunch of, I think he says scheming swindlers.
Yeah, scheming swindlers.
Yes, scheming swindlers. And that's so interesting because it really is simple, but it's not easy, back to your point. It is clear, but it requires everything. It's not like it doesn't, it's not simple in execution, but if you'll believe it, it's simple in understanding.
I think what you were saying when you were talking, I was thinking like we use the Bible in modern times, many evangelicals use the Bible as a club when it was always supposed to be a sword that divides us.
Right.
We're using it as a club to hit other people with our version of, well, what Jesus meant here is smack, smack, smack.
Right.
When it's supposed to be dividing us.
Yeah.
And then you'll be more equipped to help somebody.
Yeah.
We're trying to go, here, I know this hurts, but I'm helping you. We're out there clubbing people with this, whatever our version of facts is. But again, it's like, let it get into you. And then we'll see. If you're a changed person, the world will be different. I remember there was a revival. We used to always have these revival meetings and stuff in Knoxville. And there would be a church, 1 week-long revival. And people kept telling my mom, you got to go to these services. And she would just be like, I don't know. And then, you really have to go. You can't believe what's going on over here. They don't even have chairs anymore. They pulled the chairs out because people can, they can barely stand in the presence. She was just like, okay. And they'd be like, what? And of course, my mom ran a housing ministry for mentally ill people. Like she spent her whole life serving other people. She basically ran a soup kitchen. I mean, she served people. Her whole life was given to people. And finally, she was just like, she didn't mean it to be, judgmental of this person, but she was like, if this is real, then we will see reverberations of it in the community soon enough.
Yeah, that's good.
It was like, I don't need to go witness like some move of God, because the move of God is, guess what? Some more soup kitchens are going to spring up. Some more houses like I run. They're going to be, because people will be impacted by that nature of that sword dividing what's fact from fiction inside of you. Then you're going to make it's going to cause action in the community. And so this idea of like, I want the ceiling tiles to fall. I want to see a sovereign move of God where I get all that. We should want to see signs and wonders. But the real sign and wonders is like, what's the motion from it? What's the ripple?
Well, and your mom believed that she was already encountering Jesus in the guys.
Yeah.
They were Jesus. Right?
Yeah, that was one of her. There's a quote from Mother Teresa about, she was quoted in a magazine that was doing an interview on her, and they said to her, "You're bringing Jesus to Calcutta," and she said, "Oh no, you misunderstand. I go there to meet my Lord."
Yeah,
she understood the people that she was encountering was literally, that was the face of Jesus. She took those words in Matthew seriously. So, yeah, I think that to your point, like we got to get to the point where there's a reverence that I think has been lost a little bit in our generation, was part of that. But also, like, you can scholarship yourself right out of there's supposed to be a mystery to this thing.
Right. Yeah, and again, not against studying, not against, it's hard to make any statements anymore because all they do is flashpoint the extreme opposite. Yeah,
or it gets clipped out and there's no context to what you said. That's almost the danger of a podcast like this is like, we've talked for 300 hours. So if
You could
anybody
make a
wanted to
saving
make
one.
like
Yeah.
take a snapshot of whatever, and after you do it long enough, you forget the camera's on. So we just are ourselves. I mean, I'm just myself on the show, so it's like
Glad you
it's
didn't give
very
me-
dangerous.
You just gave someone an idea.
I know.
By the way, I do want to say this. I wrote an article that came out this week on Christianity.com, and it talks about some of this. I mean, I think this would be related, but it's about refugees. We talked about refugees on air a lot, and it talks about some that I actually know that we helped as a church, and their funding has recently been completely cut. So, I mean, they're here, but the people who are waiting to come in, which refugees are the most vetted immigrants in the world. And in this case, like
It's a years-long process in many
families
cases.
of people
Right.
who were interpreters for us in Afghanistan against the Taliban, other things like allies, people who have saved lives, American lives. So check that out at Christianity.com, and you can just look up my name, John Driver.
Yeah, we can link it somewhere, maybe on the talkaboutthatpodcast.com website too.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get somebody to throw that up there.
It was trending as the second highest article on that website yesterday.
Yeah.
I don't think it's there anymore today.
Number one
but-
is an article about me.
Right, I couldn't believe it. Which we have to say this, by the way.
I was nominated for the Institute of Smells. No, what was the Association of Smells?
You guys, I do want to tell you, I'm sure you've seen it because you're on the internet, and I don't hate the internet, Johnny. I just don't want it to destroy our lives. That's
Okay,
all.
sure.
But Jonnie W has an old video.
Yeah.
Like it's old.
Yeah.
It was your opener for what, 6 years? you
Yeah,
said?
probably 6 years, yeah.
And it's a parody.
It's an old parody song of Kings of Leon. And for whatever reason, like my social media team that helps me, they clipped it up and put it out. And I think we've even put it out, a version of that before. But for whatever reason, this version, it went like mega viral.
Mega viral.
Over the last 72 hours, it's gotten like, I think it's at 11 million views
Holy
now.
cow.
And so, and a lot of weird, it's so interesting, like the people that have started following me. Dweezil Zappa commented on it, which is odd. Preacher Lawson, who was an big America's Got Talent comedian and really successful comic now. Anyway, so it's been funny. Like to see the impact of that, and also like I don't do that. Like that's a lot of people's first impression of me.
Right, you
so
don't
that's
do
a weird
parodies
trip.
anymore. Yeah.
And I'm not even heavy anymore. If I wanted to do that song, they're like, you got to bring it back. It's like it's not time.
Well,
it's not going to work. But anyway, all that said, it's a kind of funny thing. But the internet's a weird thing. It's a weird place.
Well, congratulations.
Well, look, come on.
Man. It's huge. If every one of those 11 million gave you $1,
That's I would take it.
I can do that math.
I could almost buy one of your magical orbs to keep track of my time.
Timular.com. Actually, I don't know if it's Timular.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but
.org.
yeah. Johnny, are you ready for your time?
Oh, I think I am. Let's do it. John, let's do my old joke. Johnny's old jokes. We call it Joke About That. John, a grasshopper walks into a bar. The barman says, "We've got a drink named after you." The grasshopper replies, "You've got a drink called Steve?"
I knew that was coming.
I like such and such and such walk into a bar. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I grew up in a very a teetotaler family.
So this is like a whole other universe.
It is
for
a
you.
whole other universe of like people walk into bars.
I can't believe it. It's scandalous.
It's already a scandalous thing.
That's
Just
so
the
funny.
setup of the joke is
That's
scandalous
great.
to me. John, finally, a priest, a minister, and a rabbit go into a bar, and the rabbit says, "I think one of us is a typo." All right, John,
good.
let's move on. This week in history, we call it Talk About Then. John, today is May 1st, and it is May Day, the traditional springtime festival marking the first day of summer. Today's not May Day, but is it May 21st is the first day of summer? But May Day is
June
in.
21st.
Why is May Day coming up in my This Week in History? It came up.
Yeah.
Traditional springtime festival marking the first day of summer, or as an international day honoring workers. Now, I didn't know this about May Day. Traditional activities include dancing around a maypole. Did you do the maypole ever in like gym class? The little
Obviously,
basket that you
no.
weave with the ribbons? Okay. We did that. I don't know why I did that.
Where?
Public school. The ribbons and you know what a maypole is, right? You've seen a maypole?
Were you in a Shakespeare play growing up?
I don't know.
Or
I was in
like
some
what?
pagan. Yeah, it felt very pagan.
just feels like
if my mom had
Midsummer
known,
Night's Dream.
if my mom had known that I was doing the maypole dance in my public school,
you would have been.
there would have been strongly worded letters.
Yes.
How dare you
This
make a weird
was-
basket of ribbons in the air?
Yeah,
you're worshiping Zeus, or I don't know what she would have thought. Anyway, in 1889, John, May Day was chosen as the date for International Workers' Day by the Socialists and Communists of the Second International. I didn't know this. As well as anarchists, labor activists, and leftists in general around the world to commemorate the 1886 Haymarket Massacre in Chicago and the struggle for an 8-hour working day. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
That, like, but for a lot of people who you consider bad people, okay, we've divided the country now, and we're like, anybody that has any left idea, they're like, ah. But weekends, the idea of a 40-hour work week, an 8-hour work day, like a lot of that comes from
child labor laws,
a lot of stuff.
Right.
So
minimum wage.
Just trying to add a little bit of balance. And then it also adds this little caveat of history: May Day, May Day, May Day, although not related to May Day. The distress call Mayday, Mayday, Mayday was created in 1923 when senior radio officer at Croydon Airport in London, Frederick Stanley Mockford, was asked to come up with a word to indicate distress that could easily be understood by all pilots and ground staff in an emergency. Since much of the traffic at the time was between Croydon and Le Bourget Airport in Paris, he proposed the word Mayday, the phonetic pronunciation of the French Matin, which is help me, my day, which is help me. Convention requires Mayday be repeated 3 times in a row during the initial emergency declaration, Mayday, 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 to prevent it being mistaken for similar sounding phrases.
Like what?
I don't know.
Payday, payday, payday.
Yeah, but he's got a candy bar. Whatever. Get on the ground. Yeah, that's what you scream if you have a bar made of peanuts and nougat. John, this week in 1974, the internet was developed. Vince Cerf and Bob Kahn's landmark paper, quote, a protocol that supports the sharing of resources that exist in different packet switching networks. We all remember it.
It's got,
what a wonderful,
it rolls off
what a wonderful
the tongue.
title for a paper. It's published in May 1974 in the issue of IEEE Transactions and Communications. Again, we've all subscribed. That sounds like a dolphin magazine. That sounded like a dolphin just then.
That's great.
It described the transmission control program, which made the internet possible, John. This was later divided into 2 layers: the transmission control protocol, TCP, and the internet protocol, IP, which we know internet protocol. That's an IP address. We still have the internet protocol. It is this protocol that makes the internet and World Wide Web possible.
What does it stand for again?
Internet protocol. Your
For
IP
some reason,
address.
I thought IP stood for something else. Well, I'm thinking of intellectual property. That's a different IP.
That's a different IP.
Yeah.
And don't go stealing ours because we'll come after you. We have many high-powered lawyers.
Yes, they're waiting right now by the phone.
Not sponsors. So. Anyway, John, finally, this week, 1968. This is a big one, and you're going to go into some weird food that built America.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Did you know what? So, what do you think premiered this week, 1968, in the world of food?
That's a little broad.
It is.
Well, can you give me a category? Is it a dish? Is it a
Let's
candy?
say it's a sandwich, John.
1968.
1968.
Can you give me a city?
No.
Just guess. Just pick a random sandwich.
A randwich, if you will. John, this week in 1968,
I really want to guess. Is it a Philly cheesesteak?
the McDonald's Big Mac hamburger made its nationwide debut with its 2 all beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
Okay, do you want to know?
Well, hang on, I'm not done with the history part. Then you can tell me if you.
I
already knew this. It was created by Pittsburgh McDonald's franchisee the previous year. It originally went by the names. What? Do you know this? Big Fancy Pants?
I don't.
The original names for the Big Mac? They're bad. They're so bad. It's so good that they was like, what if we just call it the Big Mac? They did the right thing.
Okay.
They wanted to call it the Aristocrat.
Oh.
Which is too I guess they were like, the idea is, you got one patty? How about this? Who wants extra bread?
Yeah.
The Aristocrat and the Blue Ribbon Burger was another one that they tossed around, which that's not too bad. Both of which did poorly in the marketplace, finally settling on the name Big Mac. Now tell me what you know.
Do you know what the Big Mac was in reaction to?
No.
So this is surprising because we always assume McDonald's is a leader and that all the others are kind of, acquiescing or changing their menus to accommodate. Right. So Burger King released the Whopper.
Okay.
And it was killing McDonald's. Like they actually overtook them for a minute because they had this huge, flame broiled burger.
Right.
And the McDonald's burgers were just tiny.
I like a Whopper.
I would prefer a Whopper any day.
I think people like Big Mac because of the sauce. The secret sauce is good, right?
The extra bread's weird to me.
Yeah, it's like a club sandwich.
Do we really need that?
Well,
how about you just stack the meat if you want to have extra meat?
But now you've made a double cheeseburger.
Well, I understand. I can't think of the last Big Mac, but I agree. I don't. If it's one of those things I would never order, but if you ever just brought me one and I ate, I'd be like, well, that was good. That reminded me of childhood or whatever. But I would never go order it. But a Whopper, I'd order right now.
There's some guy out there that I saw. He did, maybe there's a documentary or a thing on him, old YouTube short, and it's about a guy who he's eaten a Big Mac every day for his entire life, basically, his entire adult life. And he's known as like Mr. McDonald's or Big Mac guy. They call him Big Mick. I don't know what they call him. Anyway, he's out there and he's eating. And I think it just goes, because people that say like this fast food will kill you, like he's out there, man. He is.
He's doing
of course, there's
great.
always the weird outlier. Like everybody has that. There's always that one Nana. They're like, she's 104 years old. What's your secret? She's like, I drink Dr. Pepper every day and I eat a pound of bacon.
I stay on the internet all day. Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's probably.
Yeah. Did you see the video I sent you of Dick Van Dyke?
No.
He's 99.
Okay.
On a stage.
Right.
And they're singing the original. He's with some guys and they're about to do the original song from the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Wow.
But he talks about, he's like, I think he said something like, because he's just sharp as a tack. He was like, hey, how you doing? I am what remains of Dick Van Dyke. And he goes, and people always ask me, I'm 99, about to be 100. And he's like, people always ask me, well, how did you do it? He's like, I have no idea. I didn't take care of myself.
Wow.
He's like, I didn't. He goes, I think his whole point was I kept a pretty positive outlook.
Yeah.
And he goes into like the idea of which
he tripped over ottomans. I know that, man. That's tough on the bones.
Well, they showed a lot of clips of him just rolling,
Yeah,
but
a lot of pratfalls.
The deal is, if being positive is the key to longevity,
okay,
it's not looking good.
We're in a lot of trouble.
For me. I'm trying.
You know what I think I have going for me, and who knows if you're, because I mean, there is an example of, I'm sure there's examples of comedians developing dementia or whatever, but I do think that like having to keep an hour of jokes in my head and perform them regularly, there's something about that exercise I do that keeps me a little bit sharper.
Yeah.
I have started forgetting things more lately, though. It's almost like I'm slipping into when I ran the group home, when Curry and I were in charge of the group home, I was in charge of like 30 lives. So I would leave my phone on the car and drive off. I'd have a cup, because too much is going on. Yeah. I don't have time for the details. And then I started doing this thing, and it feels like a lot of that loosened up. My time is more elastic, and so I don't forget as many things. But I have an electric car now, and I left it on the other day. Luckily it beeped. As I walked, it was like, beep. And I was like, what in the world? Well, my car's so quiet, it just like, man, you did not shut the car off.
Yeah.
But there's a few of those moments where I'm like, oh, I forgot my ID, or I forgot my whatever, forgot my wallet. It's happening. But I do think that like keeping your brain sharp, like reading, keeping a list of things, challenging yourself to do things. Like, I don't know. There's something to it.
Well, you know what I do?
No. It's your pyramid of doom does it for you.
When I get a code, when I get like a two-factor
authentication.
Yeah,
is that say authentication? Did I say authentication?
Authentication, guys. Two-factor. I think it was Minchkin that said.
I think he said two-factor authentication.
But what I do is I don't let it autofill.
Oh,
it's only going to be there for like 3-4 seconds before it disappears.
Okay,
and I memorize those 6 numbers and go put them in manually. Jonnie, I figured that's going to keep me.
You think that's the same thing as you turning the key the same time in Crimson Tide as the other officer? Like, on 3, 1, 6, 5, 2, 4, 3.
That's how listen, you can't argue with the results.
Yeah.
You could argue with the results.
You're pretty sharp.
Yeah, we'll see. Stress does cause me to forget things, but.
Yeah, it's okay, though. Listen, but you're right. We do need a positive attitude. Dick Van Dyke, we learned something today.
We did. Look at that guy.
Yeah, that's pretty good, though.
What if, like, behind the scenes, he's a monster or something? Wouldn't that be horrible to find out?
I don't want to hear that. I think 99 does not feel like I want to make it to 99, but maybe if I could be 99 and still have my faculties and be Dick Van Dyke.
That's what I pray.
And have legions of fans.
Yes.
Who adore my work and my past work.
To be basically a national treasure.
Yes.
I don't think it's so much to ask for.
No, it's not.
No.
Guys.
To have all the money that I need, still be creative and doing things that are relevant.
Have people applaud when I walk into a room.
Right. Have my health, my wife, and all of us, everything's still great. And I'm still actually, I've gotten smarter somehow.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Not somehow like I'm so smart now. I mean, like as I got older, I progressed.
I couldn't believe it was possible either.
That sounded awful. Guys, I don't think I'm that smart, to be clear.
Oh, boy. John, if you want to learn more about us or the show or listen to past episodes, what would you do?
You can go to talkaboutthatpodcast.com.
Click on that upper right-hand link if you want ad-free content. We love our patrons, but if you want the show without commercials, that's how you do it. You can support the show. We love our supporters. If you want to send us an email, go to hello or send an email. Just construct an email.
Right.
And in that,
just say hello.
In the top field. Just say it into the ether.
See what happens.
Hello. Say it 3 times into the mirror. We appear behind you. Hello at talkaboutthatpodcast.com. We love hearing from our loyal listeners. And the show is growing, which is kind of cool. We're getting thousands of downloads now on every episode. And we're honored to be bringing the show to you.
Yeah. Yeah, you should also check out Jonnie W, JONNIEW.com. Right. I would try to buy a ticket while you can.
Come on, y'all.
I would try to buy a ticket while you can because Johnny's blowing up right now.
You're being too kind. So, but yeah, new tour dates are dropping every week, and we're excited to be coming to some cool cities. I'm doing Huntsville, Texas on May 17th at the Old Town Theater, which I'm assuming is on Old Town Road. Ride like you can't no more or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's going to be a great show. If you live in the Houston area, it's a short drive from Houston, and come on up and say hello May 17th. Tickets at johnnyw.com.
Yeah, that'd be great. Check out that article I told you about. We'll post it in the show notes for this week about supporting refugees. I think it's important right now. And so, take a look and then see how it strikes you. That'd be great. So, guys, appreciate all the time you gave us this week. Let's do it again next week, Aaron.
Talk about that.